Thank you for joining us on Data Cloud Now, where we bring you the latest in all things data in business and industry. Today, we are examining how technology can make things affordable, practical, and easier for everyone. I'm now passing things off to our DCN correspondent in Mumbai, India, Gautam Srinivasan. Enjoy.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm Gautam Srinivasan and welcome to Data Cloud Now. I'm joined now by Karan Mehta, founder and CTO at Ring. Karan, thank you so much for being part of this show, and I'm looking forward to your insights on using data to overcome the challenges of building a payments app. But before that, I want to get a broad overview from you on the payments universe, the digital payments universe, because it has so expanded so rapidly in the past 8 years, and projections are calling for the size to increase by 4x, I guess, by 2026. Now, I want to understand from you, what are the key growth drivers that you see here?
Right? India was a laggard when it came to digital payments less than 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And in the short span of 5 years, we've turned it around the head. We are now the largest digital payments industry ecosystem across the globe. There are a few drivers that have taken us here, and probably those plus a few more drivers are going to propel us forward. I personally believe that the 4x growth is probably going to end up being more conservative. We are poised for rapid uptake of digital payments. One of the biggest things that has changed in India over the last 5 years is that the mindset of the customer has changed. All of a sudden, you've gone from being wary of using digital payments because of a lot of idiosyncrasies of digital payment to all of a sudden digital payments being so buttery smooth that you rely on them as your primary mode. Someone hands you cash, you just feel weird about it now, right? Digital payments have become the de facto standards, cash have become secondary. That's one thing. The other thing I think is the general ecosystem, government regulations, fintech players from the private side of the things, banks from the public side of the things. They've all kind of converged, they've collaborated, they've worked hard to make it a very, very thriving ecosystem. There are going to be more and more use cases. Payment so far has been, I would say, a foundational building block of our digital ecosystem. As we go forward, there are going to be more and more layers built on top of it. You're going to very soon have credit on UPI. There are steps that RBI has taken in those directions. You will have more innovative products coming out from the private side of the industry where people will want to make payments even more frictionless. You have models like subscription billing, right? When you're paying for Netflix, UPI recurring allows you to set up so that you don't have to worry about it. Features that were primarily reserved for credit cards, they're now coming to UPI. That along with a lot more innovation, you're going to have payment using smartphones and tap and go wearables that NPCI is promoting. The fact that the customer mindset is already set on digital payments, customers are going to adopt all of these innovations equally quickly, and that's going to drive us forward. Merchants on the other side are going to say that it's much easier to do business. I mean, I don't have to deal with the hassles of taking money, giving change, tallying accounts at the end of the day. That is going to be a big driver. So there's push from the consumer side, there's a pull from the merchant side, and we are set up for explosive growth.
Big change in both sides of the equation, and you've just kind of scratched the surface by unlocking the habit of customers in using digital payments. The experiences are the next level of layers. And speaking of experiences, let's talk about Ring. Ring is competing against some of the best players in the world. So I want to understand from you, how are you using cloud and data to kind of build customer loyalty, because the customer is now hooked on to digital payments, but there are so many options available to them. What makes Ring stand out?
That's a very, very good catch on the problem, right? See, the product itself is payments and credit. Those products by itself ideally should sell themselves because they are requirements of the customer, but it's a very, very crowded market. There are truckloads of options when it comes to payment, truckloads of options when it comes to credit. But the customers are not just seeking that. What a customer is looking for is a holistic experience. They want a fantastic customer experience. They want to truly feel while using UPI that they're using an Amex Black Card. They want that experience. They want an payment and credit set of options that are personalized to their behavior, their understanding. They want the app to know things about them without them having to tell the app or the platform what they're trying to do, right?
Is this a millennial expectation or in general?
It's surprisingly, you're absolutely right. You would expect this to be a millennial world, but what has happened now is because of the plethora of payment options and all of these, you're talking about companies like Google Pay and Phone Pay, which are not only competing within the Indian ecosystem, They are benchmarked against the best payment apps out of Europe and out of North America, and we are actually competing. Probably we are beating most of them. The payment experiences on Google Pay and PhonePe are better than Venmo in the US, for example, and Venmo was a benchmark. Customers have gotten used to it. My father has gotten used to it. My father gets irritated when his Google Pay doesn't work for the smallest of reasons. He gets annoyed that PhonePe did not automatically bring out the latest bill to the top. Everyone is expecting. My father, for the record, is 65 years old, but he has very high expectations. Indians have now, in a very short span of time, been trained to expect good customer experiences. And that has become the story. The story is, it's not just the product you can push, you have to push a holistic experience to the customer.
All right. Speaking of successful companies and successful associations, we are here at Snowflake's Data Cloud World Tour. So I want to understand from you, how has Snowflake enabled Ring to provide more value-added features, say, to its customers? Because as you said, the game is to provide features, but on top of it, it's the experience factor.
Absolutely. So Ring is a platform, right? And when I was mentioning of a data fire hose of data, the reality is not one fire hose of data. We are combating 16 different fire hoses of data at the minimum. We have data from how the customer is using the app, how he's looking at our communication, how frequently is he coming back and opening your app, how frequently is he using the app and also the website. There is just a truckload of data, and for good customer experiences, you have to look at all of it in a holistic manner. With the traditional practices, and mind you, when I say traditional, we are a modern fintech. We are 6 years old. So for us, traditional is also only 4 years old. When we look at the traditional data practices that we are using, which was cutting edge as little as 4 years ago, we realized we are not able to process the data for a customer demographic like India, where customer segments are very varied, customer behaviors are very varied, and the data is coming from many places. You need a tool, you need a fantastic agile tool that allows you to process, crunch the data, make sense of it, and in real time feed that analytics back to your platform so that you're able to offer good experiences. That is where Snowflake comes in. Snowflake has solved a large problem for us, that we had the data, we kind of knew how we want to use the data, but just getting from accumulating the data to making sense of it was a big journey in itself. Snowflake has made that very simple. When they come in and offer that as a service, what we can do as a company is we can focus on our business objectives rather than the plumbing of the data, which is a very refreshing status for me as a CTO, for me as a founder. It just means that I can ask my teams that, okay, I want X data. I will not need to explain to them how to get to that X data. That's already ready for them. They just have to go and analyze the almost final version of the data to get the business answers we require. And that allows us to build fantastic products, to take timely decisions on business metrics, and also to even enhance the customer experience.
That's fantastic. You get the answers you need when you need it. All right, let's look at the way forward. You recently raised funding. Congratulations for that. So what are the plans for the year ahead?
So, it's an interesting set of products we have in the pipeline. We've been the leaders of digital credit. For 6 years, we've been India's largest digital lending platform. We continue to hold on to that crown while we're also focusing largely on payments. Payments is a different beast. Payments is a lot about a large number of transactions, making sure that the transaction is super fast. It has a lower failure rate. Customers are super sensitive about payment transactions. If your credit disbursal is delayed by 5 minutes, customers are okay with it. They know it's a loan, it's going to take time. But your UPI payment is going to take 3 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds. People will start switching platforms. So that's a big focus for us going forward, that while we have built the best lending tech stack there is, we want to make sure that we are able to create a payments tech stack that can compete with the behemoths in India. And you have fantastic companies to look up to. You have the PhonePays and the Google Pays and the Paytms of the world, and we aspire to be able to toe-to-toe with them on a payment experience. It's easier said than solved a problem, and we are putting all of our energy, the engineering effort, the data pipelines, all of that to make sure that we are able to offer a customer a payment experience which is in line with the credit experience that they've come to expect of us.
Right. And finally, Karan, you've had an eventful few years. You started at a hedge fund, then you started on an entrepreneurial journey with Swipe and Kish, then Ring, and here we are. So I want to understand from you as a leader, what guides your philosophy on harnessing technology?
That question, by the way, I would have given very different answers for, say, if I was a CTO in the North American market versus a CTO in the Indian ecosystem, right? Let me talk about the Indian ecosystem. In India, we are at a stage in our country's development cycle where technology has to play this massive role of enabler right now, where we are not creating end products which are technology. We are not creating or not focusing on creating a Facebook or a Twitter. We are focused on creating a Flipkart, which is enabling e-commerce. We are focusing on creating an Uber or an Ola, which is digitizing transport. In India, I believe that technology, at least for the next 5 years, has to play this role of making the customer's life better in every way possible. If it means fewer clicks, if it means faster delivery of goods, if it means easier finding of a ride to get home, if it means easier booking of a flight ticket, that's the role technology has to play. And that is what I think overall the startup ecosystem has been doing. We are right now in phase 1, where we are solving operational problems. The problems that were not digital, we are solving them in a digital manner. And that's a massive role India is playing, technology is playing in India right now.
All right, solving problems. Make effective use of technology to make things affordable, practical, and easier for people and solve their problems. That's the take from Ring. Karan, thank you so much for joining us here on Data Cloud Now. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Much more in store from the Data Cloud World Tour India series.